about a few recent Love After Lockup updates. First, starting off with Matt. One of his friends recently went into a pen pal Facebook group and posted some different pictures of Matt trying to find him a pen pal. They said, "I'm posting this for my friend, an ex-TV personality from Love After Lockup. He can tell you all about how it's BS. Matthew, download the Securus app, then e-message, add contact, enter in his DOC and click Washington State Department correction and drop down menu. Matt needs female interactions. He's been in the hole for 22 months at Walla Walla. It's a lonely situation. I keep money on his phone so he doesn't need yours. If you have a number for him, just message him and he'll reach out." So that tells me that this boy has not been able to stay out of trouble since he's been in prison, if he's been in the hole for that long. And this is Matt's pen pal profile. Says, "Hey, what's up? My name's Matt. I'm a white boy from Washington." Okay, that's not obvious from your picture. "I'm a laid-back dude, loyal to a fault, and a bit stubborn at times. I try to make the best out of every situation, including this one. I'm looking for some good conversation, nothing too serious. I've got 3 years left on a 10-year sentence. If you want to get to know me, hit me up. I was on the show Love After Lockup, so if you have any questions, get at me." Should we ask him some questions about the show? He was sentenced to 37 plus years in prison on 8 different charges. He had hella charges that he had racked up since he was on the show, and he ended up working out a plea deal where they ended up dropping 15 charges if he agreed to plead guilty to 8 of them, and he was sentenced to 474 months, and he got credit for time served. So that equals to a little less than 38 years. But according to Sarcasm, Matt will be serving his sentences concurrently, which means that the actual time he's required to spend behind bars relies on the single charge with the longest sentence. So they are assuming that he would only have to do 9 years, 8 months in prison. He was sentenced 4 years ago. So if this article is right, that means he would still have about 5 years left, but he's claiming he only has 3 years left. But who knows, if he's not on his best behavior in prison, it might be longer than that. And Matt got this lengthy sentence because he decided to do an armed home invasion back in August of 2020, where he went inside a single mother's home, pointed a gun at this single mother and her son, and attempted to burglarize her home. And he ended up being arrested. And this is one of many arrests since he was on the show. He was arrested back in 2018 when he was driving Caitlin's pickup truck, and then he rear-ended another driver. And he tried to convince the woman that he ended up hitting not to call the police because his license was suspended. He should have tried to offer the lady like a decent amount of money or something, but his plea did not work, and she ended up calling the police, and he was issued a ticket for driving with a suspended license, and he got a ticket for speeding too fast for the road conditions. So he rear-ended a driver in Caitlin's car, and then literally 2 weeks later, he was driving Caitlin's pickup truck. It's a truck, not a car, I'm sorry. And he ended up damaging her pickup truck after he ended up crossing the center line while he was driving, and he ended up hitting another driver head on, and he ended up getting a ticket once again, and he was charged for third-degree driving while license suspended. And I'm surprised that he was just ticketed for these numerous citations of doing the same exact thing. Then he was arrested in 2019 for possession of a stolen vehicle. Then he bonded out of jail a few weeks after that arrest, and then 4 months later, in May of 2019, he was arrested for meth possession after being pulled over for expired tags, and he got busted with a bag of meth in his pocket. Then 2 months later, in July 2019, a violation report was filed against Matt after he did not show up to his pre-trial court date. Then a month later, his meth possession charge ended up getting dismissed after the arresting officer was promoted to a job with the Homeland Security and he was unable to attend Matt's trial. So he got lucky as hell, but that didn't keep him out of trouble. I think that just made him even more cockier because just a couple months after that, he was arrested and charged with heroin possession, and he had multiple stolen credit cards in his possession at the time. He walked by this lady's house and her garage was open, so he stole her purse out of her garage and took her credit cards and went on a shopping spree at Target and Walmart. And of course, the police, once they saw the transaction, all they had to do was go to those stores and roll back the security footage, and they busted Matt red-handed. And then that same month, Matt decided to skip out on his pre-trial conference for his meth possession case, and the judge ended up signing a bench warrant for his arrest, and Matt ended up missing out on his arraignment for his heroin possession and stolen credit card charges. The judge ended up signing another bench warrant for Matt's arrest, and Matt wasn't able to stay on the run for very long because just a week later, he was arrested and booked into the Thurston County Jail, and his combined bond was set at $9,500. But somehow, 2 days later, he was able to make bond, and he was arrested just a few months after that for driving with a suspended license and failure to register his vehicle. And then he bonds out, and literally the next day after bonding out, he was arrested and charged with possession of meth. Then he bonds out again the next day, and he was arrested a month later for driving with a suspended license. First-degree assault and first-degree burglary. So I did not realize that this was going to be a whole video going into just Matt. I was planning on doing other updates, but I just really wanted to cover what he had done in his past that caused him to get such a hefty sentence when he was sentenced to prison. I'm honestly shocked that he's just now starting a pen pal profile instead of doing it like 4-5 years ago when he was first sentenced to prison, because you would think that's when he would need it the most. But maybe, you know, he thought it would be hard for him to find someone willing to be by his side, knowing that he still had 9 years ahead of him. If he only has 3 years left like he claims, maybe that makes sense now because you're more likely to find someone to stick around if you only have 3 years left. I mean, but still, that's still a long time to wait, especially if you're risking the chance that him getting out and treating you the same way that he treated Caitlin. But I just hate the way that he did her because she seemed like a sweet girl that was really into him and tried to do everything that she could for him. And he just treated her like crap and did whatever he wanted to do. And you could tell he didn't give a damn about her because once he finally told her that he didn't want to deal with her anymore and she broke down and she's like, well, it seems that you just decided one day that you didn't want to deal with me anymore. And she started breaking down crying, and he didn't seem to have a single care in the world whatsoever. I really hated how Matt did Caitlin too after she lost her mother, and the time when she needs the most support in her life, he pretty much just treated her like crap. She sat there and went and picked up her ashes from her mother, and she just lost her mother. And he should have been there right next to her side, but instead he's picking fights with her, embarrassing her at the funeral home. I just recently rewatched their season, and that part just made me so upset. But that is pretty much it for this video, guys. Let me know what you guys think about everything in the comments below. Give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.